see you, and other people who are. And the great thing is that people who are your connections on LinkedIn are going to more than likely see that discussion as they go in and see what you're up to. Those kind of exchanges are going to appear on your profile. But Quora is dedicated, yes, sure.
Do you want to maybe in like 10 minutes wrap up? So we
Absolutely.
Actually, I was going to suggest.
Yeah, I can do it shorter than that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just talk about Pinterest and then we'll basically close and do Q&A. So let me then talk about, so Pinterest, people here are Pinterest? Everyone's on Pinterest? No one's on Pinterest. Okay, some people are on Pinterest. I'm shy about admitting it, but okay, maybe Pinterest. Yeah, so Pinterest is the fastest growing new channel, social media channel. It's primarily visual. It's really easy because what you're doing is anytime you find something, ideally it's something that's has a visual dimension to it. You just basically pin it and you add it to your Pinterest account and you put it on a board. So you're organizing things by boards and pins, and then if someone who, and then you're following other people's boards on Pinterest, but you can also search by any given interest area and find things, and if you like what you see there, then you just repin it, and people like to be repinned, and it's very addictive. You can lose a lot of time on Pinterest just finding things. And if you're involved in some particularly in a visual thing, if you cook or you like looking for recipes or you're in interior design, say goodbye to your afternoon. Because in fact there are any number of different things that are those recipes, and you can find out those people are cooking. And certainly a lot of interior design ideas.
Is that the same as Tumblr?
No, absolutely not. Tumblr is more of a it's a site for, I think it was a microblogging site. It's actually kind of a richer site than Twitter, but it's someplace more like the kind of platforms that Sean talked about, where you can set up a presence.
Alternative to WordPress, right?
Kind of,
Yes.
yeah. It's like a cross between WordPress and Twitter. You can actually build an entire website on Tumblr, but Tumblr connects all of the blogs within the Tumblr system to each other so that you can reblog a blog post to your follower list. So it's not a paradigm that's used elsewhere online, but it's extremely powerful.
Very good story in the Times Magazine covers Tumblr.
But Tumblr is basically like what my 12-year-old and 14-year-old daughters are on all day.
Okay.
And so basically if they like Zac Efron or One Direction, they're seeing all these things that
Yep.
People do incredible amounts of creative, crazy things on Tumblr. People will create a Tumblr for any topic that you can think of. I mean, there's a Tumblr for dogs balancing on difficult objects. People send me Tumblrs all the time, you know. But I also know writers who use Tumblr as their complete website. So they have a calendar for events that they're going to do. They have their blog. They have a page that tells the world what they're all about. A list of their books with links to buy them, that kind of thing.
So you have like a web page.
Before we wrap up, is there any way we can talk about tracking followers? Because I think many of us are interested in
Tracking followers.
like technology, who's been the
Oh.
part of that. 'Cause
Okay.
It's on your list.
Interesting. Sure.
Guys,
Okay.
when we ask questions, please speak up because we are videotaping it, so it'll be audible.
So I have two tools that I mentioned here. One is if you have a blog and you're interested in a free tool that enables you to track any number of different dimensions. SiteMeter, I think, is very rich, and it will track where they enter, where they exit, what they viewed. It'll track over a period of time. It'll give you, and there are a number of different kind of parameters. Here, this is the time.
like that better than Google Analytics? Is it?
It's different because it's no, Google Analytics is very powerful. If you're using Google Analytics, I think you're getting much richer kind of dimension than that.
But SiteMeter might be easier to follow if you want faster.
Google Analytics, can be intimidating for a lot of different people. This is, I think, it's just easy. It's kind of more. It's more elementary. Google Analytics is high school, just more elementary kind of school, and it's all kind of set up there, and a lot more visual than Google Analytics.
You can open an account for any site.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use the name on Google Analytics and it's free. It's extremely powerful, so you'll just get far too much information. But you can set up Google Analytics to give you, just a quick view of how many people have looked at your website, where they came from, what posts they responded to, which pages are most interesting to them. So yeah, they all do the same thing.
Yeah, right.
Can you address Alexa, because I work with someone who trusts that very much, and I look on their website and the most basic fee is like $10 a month. But what does Alexa give you that's better than Google Analytics?
Yeah, all right, so so I don't, I'll let other people weigh in if they want to on Alexa. Alexa tracks people who use Alexa. So if you don't use, so that for me is kind of one of the, I think it was more popular before, but I think I think Google Analytics and SiteMeter are going to be tracking all your different traffic. Alexa is rich in terms of information it offers you, but it only is going to track people who have basically enabled Alexa on their browser. And I think people have kind of stopped doing that because many other things have replaced. Alexa has been around for a while. I haven't used Alexa in quite some time, and so I don't know. I'm not sure. I'd be more likely to use Quantcast than I would Alexa. Well, I think Quantcast used to be free, but now I think you have to have an account in Quantcast.
No, this person said that she likes to place stuff, place content on a particular website because it has a quote-unquote high Alexa rating.
Right, okay.
But I didn't know what that meant.
Right, well, yeah, there are different ratings. I mean, Google has a Google score too, and I'm more inclined to rank, there's a, Google has I think an app, I know it's only for, I remember it's only for the Chrome browser, not an app, but there is an app you can download for, basically give you a Google score that ranges, I haven't checked Google score in a while, it's kind of gotten old. So too, but I think it's, yeah, Dan, you want to say something?
So this whole question of content.
Right.
So it's one thing to kind of take your content and have it on your hub, right, so that people can see. But a lot of people want to take your content and push it out and have more people see it, and social media is a great avenue for doing that. So I think for a lot of writers, they're a little hesitant to appear too self-promotional or breach etiquette or force content on people who don't want it. So I think it might be helpful to talk a little bit about sort of the etiquette of sharing content and the best ways to kind of take, the stuff you've written, which is really valuable marketing for writers, and get it in front of people who either will share it with their networks or, add value to your book.
Okay, all right. So the content, so the verb to use, push is kind of stops because I like to say seduce. You're actually kind of, it's more like it's gravitational. You're trying to pull people toward your content. I'm thinking of it, because the content is going to exist on your
site.
site.
I'm just using that as a way from having it be passive and static on your site and pushing it out into the ether so that more people see it who aren't coming to your site.
Okay, great. But the content that's going to be on your site is going to be much more than you're going to be able to show. Anyone's going to be able to see.
You write an article that gets published, right? And you want people to see it because it's your latest thing, it's fresh, and it adds value to your brand and reputation. But some people are hesitant to do that, so I'm asking you to address kind of how do you get it out there?
Do not get over that. Do not be hesitant at all. Never. Do not hesitate. Why? Why? You did this thing. You're very proud of it. This is a great thing. You want the world to know about this. That's why you want to be in, as I think Sean mentioned before, you want to be in as many places as possible. It is very, that's why you want followers. The idea of people are going to follow you because you're creating this great stuff. This is these are all channels that are leading to this incredibly valuable treasure that you've created that is on your site. So the idea is you want to be linking back to your site. You're probably going to need to use the URL shortener because whatever link you have is going to be too long to put in Twitter. So the two most popular one is Bitly. The one I like is actually StumbleUpon's su.pr because what StumbleUpon does is it actually opens that up to the whole StumbleUpon universe, of which there are several million users if you use their URL shortener. Some people don't like StumbleUpon because actually it introduces a frame when you click through it instead of going directly to the site. But in either case, they will enable you to shorten your URL, so it's basically about 6 or 7 characters. You have another 140, so it leaves you with about 128 characters to play with, to bring, and then it's a matter of using your caginess to come up with something very clever. What is the, and not only don't be shy to do it once, don't be shy to do more than one blast to your page, to this wonderful thing that you've created. Even if it appears on someone else's site, this is something you're proud of. So the one thing that, in fact, what you find is that every channel is going to say, we want you to promote natively. But if you're pressed for time, you may not be able to do it natively. You can set up your accounts, in fact I do, and I'm often surprised that it kind of works, where I will tweet something and then that'll percolate through Facebook and LinkedIn, so that the one tweet just kind of goes through and covers both my identities. Now, I've heard any number of people sort of say, never do that, don't do that. You should only post things on Facebook, within Facebook, and LinkedIn within LinkedIn. I frankly know that I get more comments on the Twitter feeds that come into Facebook than I do on the things I do natively in Facebook. I don't know, maybe it's because they're shorter, easier to read, but I think that if the choice is between not doing it or doing it once and having it percolate through everything else, I would say do it once and have it percolate through. The 140 characters has a disciplines you to be very kind of precise, succinct, and make sure whatever that you're saying in as few words as possible.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
Okay, so I have a young adult novel coming out as an e-reader, and I've never done a young adult novel. So I'm thinking that I could be, Twitter would be a great thing, but aren't I trying to reach readers who are ages 14 through 17?
Yeah.
That's one audience you're trying to reach.
And so am I
But
talking to
also
them?
their parents.
Their
And
parents.
you're trying to reach booksellers
Booksellers
and
of that.
librarians and book reviewers.
Yes.
So you're trying to reach quite a few audiences. But Twitter is a good audience to reach. I don't know if Twitter is the best place to reach 14 to 17-year-olds. It could be, but I'm not really, I don't know about the demographics. It's a great place to reach booksellers. It's a fabulous place to reach children's book experts of all types. So you would want to try to find those people and follow them. And those are the people who are going to bring your book to the awareness of the 14 to 17-year-olds that you're ultimately trying to reach.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone else mentioned Technorati as a source. So Technorati is a wonderful source to find. You can actually search in what they call the book blogs. It lists 16,893 book blogs. There are a lot of book blogs, and it ranks them. So you actually can find the ones that are the most popular. That is to say, no, not the most popular. The ones that Technorati ranks the highest. Not necessarily mean the most popular. Technorati has an algorithm. A lot of it has to do with who's linking to that blog. How influential is that blog among people who are reviewing books, writing about books? So the idea is I'm sure you can search by young adult or juvenile literature there, find which of the blogs that are reaching the widest audience, and which are the most influential in that area. So you definitely want to be trying to both follow them and see what you can do to sort of call attention to them. The difficult thing is, do you want to get into one of those kind of what is spamming kind of on Twitter? Because if you find a blog and you know this person has a Twitter account, do you then send a note to them about that you might be interested in my new book? I would say yes. Do you do it every day? No, I would say don't do it all the time. There is spamming that goes on Twitter. But I think if people, particularly people who appreciate books, have a lot of respect for writers and authors online, and that's a community that you want to be part of. And it's I have a list called Bedazzled by Books, and it's several hundred, 600 or so people on that are just accumulating. People who I know are people that I'd like to sort of see kind of what they're thinking or tweeting about. Reading back. Yeah.
I have 2 questions. One, I haven't heard you mention anything about SEO, incorporating that onto websites, which is actually